Welcome back to Gun&ShotTV. This is Chris, and today we'll be talking about this Winchester 1887 clone. It's not a true 1887 clone. It actually has some 1901 Winchester features, but it is close enough that I'm content with having it for an example in my collection. As you can probably figure out, I've got a lot of Winchesters. I like Winchesters. I always wanted one of these lever action 1887 12 gauges, but they're pretty expensive, and the original 1887 ones weren't really made to fire anything but black powder. So you can only shoot black powder, low pressure rounds in those older guns. Now they did make a 1901 Winchester, and that was the beefier one that was made for the smokeless powder rounds, but it was only in 10 gauge, whereas you could get the 1887 in either 10 or 12 gauge. But I'd rather not have to pay collector prices for 1901 and then get stuck paying 10 gauge ammo prices to shoot it. The one other distinction of the 1901 was it had this hinged lever that latches to keep it closed. The original 1887 did not have that. Now this is, like I said, a clone. This is made by Zhongzhou Machine Works in China, and it's imported by Century Arms International. The big drawback with these guns is they have gigantic writing on them. Kind of ruins the aesthetic of it. The original Winchesters had a Winchester logo, I think WRA, Winchester Repeating Arms or whatever, like a scroll logo. But these have this big dorky looking import mark. So that's one drawback to them. The other drawback I found is it has an old school crescent shaped butt plate. Not terribly crescent shaped, but it's kind of, when you put it up in your shoulder, it's not actually the most comfortable butt plate with that point there. I may at some point maybe file it down so it doesn't have that point, because it really digs into my chest. It might just be the way I hold it, but in the meantime, I've put one of these limb saver recoil pads on here, and that really helps with taking the pressure all day. Anyways, on to the actual gun. So the 1887 is a 12 gauge. It was the first practical repeating 12 gauge. There were some other designs, but this was the first one. Now, John Moses Browning, the guy with the 1911 and the 1894 Winchester and pretty much all these famous Winchesters, he actually designed the 1897 pump action shotgun first. But Winchester at that time was known for their lever actions. So they told Browning, make it with a lever. So he went back to the drawing board and quickly came up with this. It's not the most refined design, but it does work. It does have some issues. At the time, they were paper shells, and they had a wad, like a paper cap, let's say, and that would blow out when the gun went off, and there wasn't a bunch of stuff left as part of the shell, whereas modern shells are crimped, so they're actually longer. It also uses the last round as the ejector to throw the spent case out. So it's not the most fault tolerant, let's say. It's not the most easy to use system. You have to be really harsh on the lever, really throw it forward, and it will have jams, you will have issues. Now I've gone through and I've smoothed up a bunch of stuff in this, polished everything I could. It's not 100%, it's not perfect, but it is much easier to work with. It will hold 5 rounds in the magazine tube, and you can drop 2 extra rounds right on top on the lifter and in the chamber. So you can actually get 7 rounds in these. So they're pretty neat for that. A lot of people recognize this gun. It was the gun that the Terminator used, Arnold Schwarzenegger, in Terminator 2, when he gets it with a motorcycle at a biker bar. He's spin cocking it. It's got a pistol grip. They actually do, I think it's Chiappa makes a Terminator knockoff pistol grip one. You can't really spin cock them. The mechanism is not really set up for that. His gun in the movie had an aluminum barrel. They messed with it, and it wasn't actually firing anything. It was shooting blanks. So I would rather have the actual rifle shotgun style one rather than the Terminator one where it's cut off. It's still a neat gun, but like I said, I'm more looking for practical use. I have shot trap with this. I've done a bunch of goofy stuff with it. It's a fun gun. But I'm going to take it. I've got some pumpkins left over, actually. So I'm going to shoot some rounds down range, give you an idea how it looks when it's working, maybe show you how the lifter works and everything. And then we'll throw some rounds at some pumpkins. I may even have a couple slugs we'll throw down it. So the worst part about this gun is the loading mechanism. You have to open the chamber, and you have to shove, and this is going to be hard to get on camera and do, but you have to shove the round down and load it in the tube with your thumb, and then it's in there. Now, every time you do that, you have to be careful, because if you bounce around, there's some latches in there that keep the rounds in the tube, and if you hit it, it'll send all the rounds shooting back, and you won't get them in there. So you can actually get 5 in there, and then you close it. It doesn't actually necessarily cycle right unless you let the hammer down. There's no round in it right now. With the hammer down, the lever works. Now I'm just going to shoot this at my range here so you get an idea what it looks like shooting. Now, as you watch, when I open it, it pulls the spent round out, and that crimp is still up in the hood of the receiver there. Now, usually you can get it to work. It works best if you go really fast, but I'm going to go slow so you can see what happens. When I go all the way up, it's going to hit that lifter, and then that next round pushes the spent round out. Now, if you don't do it just right, or you don't put enough pressure forward, you'll get a jam. It's just a limitation to design. It was designed for paper holes with, you know, a cap, essentially, a flat washer or cardboard. So that's not how shotgun shells are made anymore, and it's just something you got to deal with. There is no safety on this except for half-cock safety, which is you'd pull the trigger and just let it up into that half-cock notch there. It's not the best safety. I don't recommend carrying this loaded. Those older safeties, they're not the best system. It's pretty safe, but I really don't like the fact that the hammer's so small and hard to manipulate on this. If you were going to be, you know, duck hunting or doing something like that, I'd recommend getting a modern gun with a modern safety setup. But we'll throw a few more rounds down range here. Now, if you'll notice, every time I do shoot the gun, I drop it down and I really, really put my hand into ejecting that round. Like I said, it's just, I found it works best if you really are hard on the action. Otherwise, you get the rounds that hang up. And it depends too. You may try and find that some other brands of shot shells have different amounts of crimp that stick out. Like I've had some slugs where there's not a lot of crimp eject really well. But it's also a breaking thing. Once the gun gets a lot of wear, gets a lot of shooting, it seems to work better because everything's a lot smoother. See, and you can see, if you're not hard on it, it does not throw the round out correctly. So we just got through Halloween here. I'm actually going to load 2 slugs first, and then I'm going to load 3 rounds of shot, and we're going to see what happens when we shoot these pumpkins. If there's anything left to hit with the slugs, it might be interesting. But these pumpkins have been out for a bit, so they may just kind of blow apart with the shot. That one was a little rotten. Okay, so I've got 2 rounds of deer slugs. These are Remington sluggers. That was definitely a slug. And we'll try that last one. So there you have it. Like I said, this is a Century imported. PW87 is the model, and I got this one for, I think it was only 270 bucks. It was like 300 out the door. I think even today, this has been a couple years back, but even today they're only 300 bucks new. There is some stuff that you want to do to clean them up. You can get ones that have been worked over for cowboy action shooting. They have a little nicer wood and have an action job and have a bunch of stuff done to them. A lot of cowboy action shooters like these guns because you can only load 2 rounds at a time. So you can use a break action double barrel. You can use an 1897 Winchester, which is a pump, and put your 2 rounds in the bottom. But these, they'll modify them so they'll do the drop 2 in the action real fast and close it and shoot. Drop 2 in the action, close it, shoot 2. So you'll see a lot of cowboy action shooters will run these, but like I said, they usually, I think it's Coyote Cap or somebody, it's one of the bigger cowboy action gunsmith guys, does some special versions of these with better wood and better stuff, and I think they even import them straight from China themselves versus going through Century or something. I'm not 100% sure how that works. But for 300 bucks, if you want to do a little bit of cleaning up or just shoot the hell out of it till it smooths out, they're really nice guns. You know, not a showpiece by any means, but every time I've taken this thing out to the range, all my friends, they want to shoot this one. They want to shoot the Terminator gun, and it is a whole lot of fun. The big issue, like I said, is just getting the lever, figuring out how to work it, and it will chew up your hands a little bit. I try and remember to bring gloves if I'm having new people shoot it, just because that way there's less chance that they're going to cut themselves up on this because it's a little sharp. But for Gun&ShotTV, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, click like. If you didn't, click dislike. If you want to see more videos like this, more gun reviews, more random shooting stuff, pretty much just my hobby, what I enjoy, subscribe, and I'll keep putting out new videos as soon as I get a chance. Thanks for watching.